There are some manga out there which are absolutely breathtaking. It's an out of the world experience reading them. The sheer quality that they carry and the intensity packed in each of their chapters far outweigh the only con, that is, how limited they are in numbers. I feel very lucky to have experienced them. It's really an honor reading and appreciating such manga. And Slam Dunk is one such manga. I've recently got the opportunity to read it after constant recommendations from my friends, and I've even watched a lot of YouTubers talk about it, so I gave it a try. I completed it yesterday after a series of binge reading that spanned across 4 days. And now I feel a bit empty, knowing that I just completed reading a masterpiece of a manga, knowing that I won't be able to relive it all over again in the same way that I did before. But I smile back, realizing that I experienced such a great story and that I was extremely thankful to have read it. I want you guys to experience this feeling as well, and hence I am here today recommending this manga to you. Slam Dunk was drawn by Takehiko Inoue during 1990s. With over 31 volumes and 276 chapters published, Slam Dunk to this day stands as one of the most successful sports manga, or you could also say that it's one of the most successful manga of all time. And it's not the only work of Takehiko Inoue that was successful. His other works, namely Vagabond and Real, have both been very popular. He is very well known for his realistic storytelling and godly artwork that gives a feeling as though you are witnessing a real story. The amount of detailing he puts into his art is just insane. You can clearly see the progress from a decent artwork to a godly one while you read Slam Dunk. Though currently he is on a break from creating manga, with his two ongoing series Vagabond and Real being on indefinite hiatus, but given the quality of work that goes into his story, I will patiently wait for his next chapters, no matter how long they might take. Coming to the story, Slam Dunk is a story about Sakuragi Hanamichi, who is a delinquent with a flaming red hair color and a physique which contradicts his age as a high schooler at Shohoku High School. Till his middle school years, Sakuragi has had a rejection streak of 50, as girls would often avoid him because of his delinquent nature. Moreover, his latest rejection was specifically because of the girl being in love with some other guy who was a basketball player, unlike Sakuragi. Being both heartbroken and furious at the same time, Sakuragi now hates basketball until a certain girl, Haruko Akagi, approaches him, asking if he likes basketball. Previously, he was never approached by a girl, let alone a girl as cute as Haruko. Sakuragi immediately falls head over heels with her on the spot and lies about being an athlete. He adds that he loves basketball just to impress her. He is later invited to the basketball court in order to familiarize himself with the sport. Haruko eventually asks Sakuragi to try out a slam dunk. Sakuragi, not being familiar with basketball terminologies, mistakes it for dunk and carpentry. Haruko later explains that dunk is basketball's most famous, exhilarating and crowd-rousing skill, wherein the ball is put into the hoop, with slam dunk being a skill where the attacker puts the ball aggressively into the hoop as if they are going to break it. It's one of the most humiliating moves for the opponents. After hearing this, Sakuragi tries to slam dunk upon Haruko's request. To her surprise, Sakuragi jumps perfectly into the air towards the hoop, but since he is a newbie, he misses the hoop and hits the backboard. Haruko is excited after witnessing Sakuragi's jump and insists him on joining the basketball team. She thinks that Sakuragi is the savior that the current Shohoku basketball team needs, and that he will be a great addition to their team. and thus starts the journey of Sakuragi Hanamichi, the self-proclaimed Tensai, which is Japanese for genius. The story starts off as a light-hearted series with a good mix of comedy and daily life elements, but gradually it changes itself into an action-packed, highly intense sports series, though the comedy and slice of life elements don't disappear completely. We are slowly introduced to Shohoku's basketball team, with each member having different traits and specialities, with the main cast being Akagi Takenori, Kogure Kiminobu, Mitsui Hisashi, Miyagi Ryota, Rukawa Kaede and Sakuragi Hanamichi. In the next segment, I'm going to talk about each of the main characters, so there will be mild spoilers, and if you don't want to listen to that, you can skip right ahead to this time. Akagi Takenori is a third-year senior and is the captain of Shohoku's basketball team. He is very serious and disciplined when it comes to basketball, and has all of his eyes set on the target of leading Shohoku to the nationals and conquering the nation with their basketball. Given his height and captain characteristics, he plays as the center. Don't worry about these basketball terminologies, as they are very easily explained in the manga as you go on reading it. Akagi, for me, has been the captain figure of Shohoku, who has got Shohoku's back with both his defensive and offensive prowess. He is an integral part of the team, as we have seen, wherein Shohoku have struggled without him being on the court. I really liked the moments where he got those crucial blocks and dunks which led his team to victory, and also how he handled some of their losses. He is definitely the backbone of Shohoku. Kogure Kiminobu is also a third-year senior and the vice captain of the basketball team. He doesn't come off as an athletic person in the beginning, but he is one of the weapons of Shohoku, with his specialty being 3-point shots. In fact, Akagi and Kogure are the only two players who had been on the team for all 3 years since their freshman years. He kind of becomes a substitute player as the story goes on, but he does have his impactful moments and contributions in some matches. Even though he may not be on the level of his teammates, he does put in the effort required to compete. He is gentle, empathic, and always friendly, all in all a team player. Then comes Hisashi Mitsui, my personal favorite from Shohoku. Mitsui is a third-year senior as well and is the shooting guard of Shohoku. Mitsui has had a rough journey amongst his teammates. Mitsui was an MVP for his team during his junior high years. He was a crucial member for Takeishi Junior High's successful run till the Nationals final, wherein he was shown to be having a rough time in the finals, with the gap in points being huge and the time wasn't on their side either. This is where Mitsui first meets Anzai Sensei, the current coach of Shohoku. And just as Mitsui is about to lose hope, Anzai Sensei tells him, "Don't give up until the end," and he goes on to win the final, not giving up until the end. He then joins Shohoku despite getting offers from powerhouse schools such as Ryonan because he wanted to be coached by Anzai Sensei. Afterwards, due to some circumstances, he leaves basketball for 2 years. Then stuff happens and he gets back to his old ways and becomes a part of Shohoku, with his skill being his perfect 3-pointer shots. We are shown the character in quite possibly his lowest, and the way he overcomes difficulties and bounces back to playing high-level basketball even though he is at a disadvantage because of his 2 years gap is what makes Mitsui one of the most developed characters in the story, and one of the most loved ones as well. His never give up mentality combined with his genius basketball skills ends up becoming the link that they were missing in Shohoku's team. His addition to the team is crucial as it invariably increases their options in offense. There's some more things that I would like to talk about this character in depth. I'll probably make it as a separate video. All in all, my favorite, and hopefully he'll be your favorite as well. Done with the third years, we come to the second year seniors, or senior rather. Ryota Miyagi is a sophomore at Shohoku and is the point guard of the team, a very important position in both offense and defense. Miyagi is motivated to play by his love for a girl, his best friend and classmate Ayako, the manager of the team, which is very much similar to the case of Sakuragi. He also shares a similar level of arrogance with Sakuragi, claiming to be the number 1 point guard in the prefecture. On the court, he snatches the ball from the opponents at crucial times and organizes the attack. He's very good at dribbling and getting past his opponents. Despite his lack of height, he compensates it very well with his basketball skills. All in all, an important asset to Shohoku. Coming to the freshers, there are mainly two, Rukawa Kaede and Sakuragi Hanamichi. Starting with Rukawa. Rukawa is quite cool and very cold individual. He cares about nothing besides basketball. He is very skilled when it comes to basketball and plays at the small forward position. Outside of basketball, he is always seen sleeping, funnily even while riding bicycles. And it's a nightmare for you if you end up waking him up while he is having his precious sleep. Coming back to basketball, Rukawa at one point in the story is looked up as the ace of Shohoku. Even though he is a fresher, he is the kind of guy who is always matched up against the strongest of the opponents. He always has the drive to improve. Though he seems arrogant, we can see his passion towards basketball and his will to get stronger. His goal is after all to become the best player in Japan, and he puts in the effort needed for it. A calm and composed player who always asks for the ball and ends up scoring on majority of his chances. He is pivotal for Shohoku's success as well. Finally, we come to the protagonist of the story, Sakuragi Hanamichi, the delinquent who turned into basketball player initially to impress his classmate Akagi Haruko, but later on he is seen to grow a passion towards the sport and ends up falling in love with it. Hanamichi is a fresher as well, with his position being power forward. Throughout the manga, he is very short-tempered, arrogant, aggressive and immature. He begins regarding himself as genius, commonly referred to as tensai in Japanese, even though he has not mastered or learned any skills. Although he later on gets really good at getting the rebounds and ends up considering himself as the rebound king. The plus point that Sakuragi has is his insane growth. Within 4 months of starting to learn basketball, he becomes a starter for Shohoku. His insane growth is the product of his persistent physique and the stubbornness of not losing to his teammate Rukawa. Sakuragi does a lot of mistakes in the matches and gets many technical fouls for his plays, which ends up forcing him to leave the court many a times. It might look like Sakuragi ends up causing a lot of trouble for the team, but he ends up making a lot of major game-winning plays. Most of the opponents underestimate Sakuragi initially when they find out that he is a newbie at basketball, but that ends up biting them in the back as they are stunned when they see the abilities of Sakuragi, his rebounds, his jumps, his speed, his ball retrieval when it is going out of the court, and his persistence to win no matter what. When the team morale is down while they are facing some tough opponents and the scoreline seems to convey the sheer difference in the skills of the teams, Sakuragi and Rukawa are the only ones to not be bothered by it. Heck, even Rukawa at times looks like he is about to give up, but never have I ever seen Sakuragi give up. Even when he is faced by tougher opponents, he always tries to get back at them. In spite of the setbacks he had to face, Sakuragi displays a great deal of tenacity and determination that carry him through and helps compensate for his failings, both on and off the court. He also knows how to carry the will of others. As the manga progresses, we see him slowly getting good at basketball and getting closer to his self-proclaimed image of a tensai. He is my second favorite after Mitsui and is loved by a lot of fans to this day, being hailed as one of the best sports manga characters, which, if you ask me, is well deserved considering his journey throughout the manga. Apart from the main cast, there are a lot of side characters which I'm sure you'll end up liking, from the basketball team coach Anzai Sensei to the judo team captain Aota, who wants to bring Sakuragi into judo team throughout the manga. Almost all the characters are lovable, even the opponent characters. Maki from Kainan High School and Sendo from Ryonan High School are the fan favorites. We are shown their side of the story, their struggles and motivations. In the overall manga, if I were to count the number of characters that I hated, there'd be a handful of them. And so I ask you to give Slam Dunk a try. Even if you aren't a fan of sports, it's considered as one of the best mangas of all time for a reason, and I want you guys to know why. It's a hell of a ride with action-packed, fast-paced chapters and even slow-paced chapters about emotions, life and struggle in general. I was going to rate Slam Dunk an 8 while approaching the end of the manga, but the chapters from the last match and the brilliant ending to top it off, forced me to change my rating to a 10. It has easily become a favorite of mine, and I want other people to experience this as well. This wraps up my slam dunk video, and if you are still around, firstly I would like to thank you, and secondly, if you enjoyed this video, do consider liking and subscribing, as that helps me immensely. Watch some other videos of mine as well while you're at it, and I'll see you in the next one.